Hi, Sandra here from Create in Spain. Today I just wanted to show you a simple card that I've made and just tell you how it's actually put together. I started off with just a plain brown card, relatively dull and boring, but you notice that I have all this gold detail around the edges. What I did was I used a texture stamp around the edges of the card before putting this front panel on. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to show you this is because I had gold embossing powder that was absolutely dire. It was a cheapy one that came with some kind of set, and it was really bad. It wasn't a good gold, barely showed up. It was horrible. But what I do have are a couple of sets of these powders, and these are done by Jacquard. Now, they are pigment powders. They don't have any binder in them, so they don't stick to anything unless there's something for it to stick to. So with this, what you can do is you can either use them for stamping with Versamark and using these powders on top, or you can do what I did and you can add some of it to any embossing powder that you choose. And if you've got some that you don't like but you've got a reasonable amount of it, a small amount of that pigment will revitalize a powder, and this has made it into a beautiful, lovely, lustrous gold embossing powder instead of the really horrible one that it was to start with. So that's how I did the background piece. Now, this front panel I did with stamping, and then I used my powders on it directly. So you stamp your design with Versamark colourless ink. You take a dry brush, you dip it into your pot, and you just dust it over. Now, the same as you would have to do if you're going to heat emboss, prep work for this is vital. Make sure you take all the static off by dusting it with powder or any other method that you normally use if you're going to be using heat embossing. So you then do your stamping, dust it with the powder. Now, the next thing, which is very important, is that although it doesn't need heat setting per se, you need to dry it. So you need to whiz a dryer or heat tool over it for a few seconds to finish it off. Once you've done that, you can take either a dry paper towel or a dry old dryer sheet and dust off any remaining powder, and then you're left with a clean image. Now, the beauty of this is, as you can probably see with this, you can just dip between different colours and apply them so you can get variated colour effects. And they do show up really nicely under good lighting. I finished it off just with some very simple cutouts, balloons and a bird. And the bird I actually stamped with inks in a variegated style, and then I took a very fine pen and I added some extra detail to them. Then all of those things I coated with Versamark, and then I put clear embossing powder on to finish them off. The strings for the balloons are just drawn in with a sparkly pen, and I've just raised these items up on little foam pads. But that's it, all done. Oh, one word that you may find of interest: if you're going to put the powder into an embossing powder to colour it, when you do your heat embossing, when you put the powder on, you shake it all off, you're going to be horrified because there's going to be colour all over the front of your card. You have to take it on faith that it's only going to be sticking where you put your Versamark ink. When you've heat embossed it, you have naturally dried it, and so then you go over it with a soft cloth and you take off the powder and you suddenly think, phew, thank heavens for that, it's okay, it's not being ruined. But that's what happens if you put this powder into an embossing powder. And I said, it's frightening. The first time you do it, you'll be thinking, oh no, I've got colour everywhere, it's not right. But it works out in the end. And I've actually made up some really pretty embossing powders with these, because some of these are colour changing. So if you put them on a white background, they're one colour. if you put them on a dark background, they're a different colour. And even used in very, very small doses, they add a beautiful pearlized finish to a clear embossing powder. Okay, so there we go, that's it. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching. Please leave comments below and subscribe. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.